the shadow of a ghostly city, the power of darkness. After the battle, the atmosphere of the vampire community became silent and stark. Smoke filled the ruins, and the vampires in the wreckage gazed into the dark night sky, their minds filled with thought and unease. In the conference room of the vampire leaders, Francisco stood in front of the window, looking out over the ruins. His voice was like the silent night wind. This battle has only uncovered the tip of the dark forces. The enemy we face is much stronger than we expected. Lewis nodded, his eyes revealing a touch of deep thought. We need to understand their motives and sources more deeply. Only then will we be able to formulate an effective counter-strategy. Erin sat quietly at the conference table, a strong determination surging through her heart. She knew she could no longer stand idly by, and her photography skills would be a vital key to unlocking the mystery. We need intel, she offered. I can go into the neighborhoods and gather information about the forces of darkness. My lens may be able to capture some of the hidden truths. Francisco looked over at Erin, a glint of appreciation in his eyes. That's a good offer, Erin. We need to know everything about our enemies and find their weaknesses. And so Erin began her quest. She traveled through the streets and alleys of the vampire community, capturing every moment. In every interaction with the vampires, she managed to gently ask for information about the forces of darkness. However, she soon discovers that this is not an easy task. The vampires knew only bits and pieces about the dark forces, as if this enemy hid behind a deep curtain, making it hard to reach. Just as she was feeling powerless, Lewis walked up to her. Erin, I have a suggestion. We can search for some ancient vampires. Perhaps they can know more about the forces of darkness. Erin nodded her head in agreement, so they began to look for vampire elders who had lived for centuries. These elders usually lived in the corners of the vampire community, away from the world. They found an elder named Arya, who lived in an ancient dwelling. As they entered this place that time had forgotten, an ancient and mysterious aura came over them. What do you seek? Elia's voice was soft and ancient, and her eyes seemed to hold endless wisdom. Luis explained the whole situation to her, while Erin asked for information about the dark forces. The forces of darkness are indeed powerful and ancient, Arya said. They come from a forgotten group of vampires who seek to establish order in the vampire community through chaos and destruction. She went on to explain, they manipulate ancient spells and devour the life force of vampires for greater power. Their purpose is unclear, but an atmosphere of danger is spreading. After leaving Arya's residence, Luis mused, we must find a way to break the spells of the dark forces. Otherwise, their power will be unstoppable. And so, Erin and Lewis set out to find a way to break the dark spells. They delve into the libraries of the vampire community, researching ancient vampire literature for clues about the spells. In a book that documents an ancient ritual, they find a possible solution. It was a ritual that required gathering the strength of the vampire community to defend themselves against dark spells through shared will and belief. We need to unite every member of the vampire community, Lewis says. Only by gathering our strength can we break the spells of the dark forces. Erin, who is taking on the role of documentarian during the ceremony, will capture the historic moment on camera. The vampires came together in droves, a glint of determination in their eyes. The ceremony began as the forces of the vampire community melded into one. They used the power of their minds to transmit their beliefs in an attempt to ward off the spells of the dark forces. The scene of the ceremony was solemn and dignified, as if time was frozen. At the pinnacle of the ritual, a powerful energy emerged from the vampires and broke through the darkness. They managed to break the spells of the dark forces, freeing the vampire community from the shadow of darkness. "We defeated them." Louis' voice was filled with elation. "The vampire community is once again united, and we will no longer be threatened by the forces of darkness." In the joy of their victory, the vampires celebrated silently as they regained their freedom and peace. However, there are still unknown forces hidden in the dark abyss, and this battle is just a new beginning. Erin and Louis know that they must remain vigilant as ancient forces lurk, waiting for the next awakening.